Okay, thank you. All right. I am going to be calling the special Board of Ed meeting to order. Today is August 10th, and it is about 6:04 in the evening. And before I go into the second part, our second agenda after calling the meeting to order is there's a couple of things. The first thing that it is that unfortunately this meeting had to be virtual. We were trying really hard to make sure that we were to at least have some people who are comfortable to be in person, specifically for this really important discussion about reopening schools. But we ran out of time. And quite frankly, Mark Russell and all the other tech people are working really full bore. And so to ask them to spend all that extra time to try to make that work, the two rooms that we were going to be able to do because of social distancing were not available to us. And I wanted to make sure that we could get it to be the meeting to be posted on time. And so there's no other reason for that to have happened. It's no one's fault. And once again, I was also trying to be somewhat protective over Mark, who once again works so incredibly hard throughout the school year, specifically right now, getting all of our needs met, and also the tech staff. So I am going to say that. The second, and this is really because of the leadership of Rita, who really kind of informed us that that the vote that we're going to be taking about how this district is going to open the school is really not a board decision. It really is the superintendent's decision. But what we're doing by having this vote is really showing us solidarity around what to the district about the opening of school. And so once again, Rita, I appreciate your leadership on that. And I wanted to make sure that people were clear that really it's part of his or hers job description is to be in charge of opening up the district. So I just wanted to kind of clear up those two things. At this portion of the agenda, we're going to actually ask for comments for citizens. And this is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during those comments of the board meeting, and citizens should state their name and addresses for the record. And Mark, here we go, right, buddy? I never can figure out how we're going to do this. You're not going to see my voice, my face for just a second. I have a new cat that has joined our family. And my dog is now in the room. And so I want to remove the dog before I have a fight on my hands. Yes.
Should people send in a chat if they want to ask a question?
Yeah, that's a perfect idea.
Okay. I do think that the public has made a lot of known about how they're feeling in terms of how the district should open, whether it should be a hybrid or full in or full out. And so I am very appreciative, even today, receiving several correspondence from people about their wishes.
Kim, we have a question from Melanie Thompson.
Yes, Melanie. Can she be? Go ahead.
Yeah, Melanie Thompson. I have a child at SB Butler. And I've been listening in the last couple of weeks on the different BOE meetings that we've had in the district. And one thing that kind of red flagged me was, obviously, my son is severe asthmatic. He is on a nebulizer. The medication that we have for him, they cannot get in the pump with this spacer. How is this going to work? Because I have to have this in school with him when he goes back.
That's a really good question.
Because that was discussed that we can't have those. And this medication, it's a special medication that comes from New York. Because we've tried everything with him, and he has to have it before PE and or recess, whichever comes first.
So Melanie, this sounds like this is a really good question that should be directed towards our visiting nurse, the woman who's the Visiting Nurse Association, the people who
Yep.
are doing that. And
Okay.
so Mel, maybe we can get you connected to your principal that can then get you connected to the nurse that's there, because obviously that
Yep.
makes a lot of sense. And
Yep.
that's
Right, right.
That issue has
And I was
come
gonna,
up.
go ahead.
That issue has come up, and we've got our nursing staff working on it.
Right, and I was gonna send Steve Wheeler an email this upcoming week,
Perfect.
because I've got other issues that have just all of a sudden arose with my son that I'm compiling everything right now.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Mel.
We understand issues are being compiled, that's for sure.
Right. And then it looks like we also have a question from Rebecca. Rebecca, are you on? I'm going to read your question. And you're from 161 Buckeye Road, Mary Morrison Elementary School. The technology that was purchased for this year, if we go hybrid, will the schools provide updated tech for their children, specifically the elementary students?
Yes.
Yeah, she's checking. She's gonna send me.
Yes, the answer is yes. And a good number of the computers the new ones that we're getting are going to be placed in the middle school and in the high school, and then some of the board purchased technology will go to the elementary schools. But we intend to have the elementary children leave their devices home. Once they're checked out and be sure they're working properly, we do not expect the elementary children to bring their devices back and forth. And we've purchased 600 tablet devices for the grades K and 1.
And
I see Joanna Priest has also been on there a couple times asking a question.
okay, thank you. I appreciate it, folks. And Joanne, I actually see that you are present, and you're actually right in front of my screen. So I don't know if you wanted to chat.
Sure, yes, I was just gonna wait till I was called on.
So Joanna, I just called you.
Thank you. All right, so I live at 39 Hunting Ridge Drive, for the record. My girls go to Northeast Academy, and we've been in really great discussions with Mr. Cheney and the parent groups. So I don't really have any big questions, but today I did see some new research that came out regarding air conditioning, and I just want to say thank you, Sam, for saying how awesome it is for having air conditioning in a classroom, because I teach in a school that does not have air conditioning, and I'm most worried about that. But the report, the study had said that air conditioning has been found to spread. So I wasn't sure how they were looking at those studies, or if that's just something that will come along like down the pike as they start finding more information out about these things, or if you've heard anything. That's one, and then I have a second part.
So Sam, do you want to take a stab at that? I know that this is not how we're supposed to do public comments, but I don't know any other way on Zoom with that on how to do this. Otherwise, so if
This
people
makes
are
sense.
You don't have
frustrated,
to answer.
if people are frustrated by that, this is not how I read. I totally understand, but I don't know how else to do this. Without
Should I
making
not be
this sort of-
asking for a question, or?
Okay,
Kim,
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, no, we are searching the CDC site and any other sites that we can find on a daily basis to stay up to date on this stuff. And I haven't seen that particular study, but I'll look for it. And if you want to send it to me, if that would be helpful, that'd be okay too.
Sure.
But we'll continue to look at it, and if need be, we will make those adjustments. But
Yeah, I don't know.
The classroom is not conducive to the teachers or the kids, for sure.
I know. I agree completely, 100%. My second part quickly was that in our discussions in the parent meetings, we had talked about the cohorts of classes. If we were in a hybrid model, for instance, we would have the cohort A Monday, Tuesday, cohort B Thursday, Friday. But in those cohorts, they were going to be still calling kids to go to the gym for dismissal. There was like the shared buses, which would have to be a decision from the parents. But I was wondering, one thing that never got answered was if there was any guidance from the Ledge Light Health District on how to handle positive cases, if families would be notified, if there was a case in like my daughter's room, would I be notified that there's a positive case, and how many cases would happen before there was an all virtual shift?
Kim, I just got updated today. The Department of Public Health put out 3 scenarios today. We literally got them this afternoon. I think there will be some additional guidance. I have a meeting tomorrow morning. I think what you're asking for, Joanna, are details that are not yet available, but they will be available. What they gave us today was guidance for parents, which of course we'll share. If an individual has COVID and what we do with an individual, but there was no guidance school-wide. And so we're still, I think everyone in the whole state is waiting for that guidance. What exactly would be the trigger? But the answer to your question is absolutely, we would notify everyone. We would do the contact tracing and those details. We've been working hard at them. I think everyone is kind of holding their breath to make the decision of my recommendation to go hybrid. And then once we make that decision, tomorrow I'll inform the parents, and then we will start going through the detailed medical procedures, protocols that you've indicated.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The other question was from, sorry, there was actually someone that was, I guess Steve Small and Kelly Nabong was asking about sort of the starting of athletics, and I'm going to hold off on having that answer, because maybe with our introduction of our new athletic director, maybe we can have, maybe he can speak to that a little bit. I know Mike, you have requested a chance to speak, and so I would like to recognize you if that's possible. Mike Whitney, are you there? You are.
Okay, you can hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Mike Whitney from 112 Deerfield Ridge Drive, Mystic, Connecticut. And obviously I'd like to thank you all for working so hard on this. I think your meeting schedule alone today illustrates how hard you've been working on it and how much time you've put into thinking through a thoughtful solution. So I sent a letter last week to the Board of Ed that you guys have, but I just like to say at this point, some of those questions have been answered through the focus groups we participated in for Groton Middle School and for Northeast Academy. But by nature, those focus groups are sounding boards, and so they're to take our views and our questions more than give answers. So there are some areas important areas that I'd still like information on. I think it's important for the parents, because this is not only the school system making a decision, the Board of Ed making a decision what model to go forward in. It's for parents too, with their kids, to make the decision that's best for them. And so for me, just briefly, I'm just going through like the 1 through 10 just items that we had on the letter very briefly. We mentioned the reopening model plan. It just seems to me like the full back to school just doesn't work with the opening plan. So I don't, it probably seems that way to you. It seems like a non-starter. And then the other two, the hybrid or the full distance learning, both have a distance learning component. And that distance learning component, I think that's where it's real short on details, like what platform is going to be used for different levels. Other school systems have posted that. For students that are out all the time, even though the hybrid's going on, are they going to be assigned a teacher within a school? Are they going to be assigned a paraprofessional? Are they going to have synchronous learning? Because that's really important for everyone. And then on that day, if it's the Wednesdays, if it's a hybrid plan, when everyone's distance learning, that'd be a good time to bring those kids that aren't in at all into in a regular kind of distance classroom environment. The next two were about masks for students and teachers. For the teachers, I'd like to see the exception for taking the mask off while instructing removed. I think that's unnecessary given the risk, because when people speak loudly, particularly, it's more than 6 feet that their aerosols and particles go. Masks for students, my question is there a minimum? We just saw this CNN article, or an article actually from Science Advances, which shows that troublingly, some of the bandanas or neck gaiters make things worse. So there should be some minimum requirement, 2 or 3 layer, and how do you enact that? Something to think about. And then that goes into mask breaks and distancing for students in meal times, and just like to have more information about that. And that probably has to be at a building level, because what's going to be done for an elementary school is different from middle school or high school. And so just, I think we need that building level information, because at some point, parents are going to be asked to choose what we're doing for our kids. I'd also like to hear about buses. I'm hoping if it goes with a hybrid plan that we still have the same number of bus routes so that you can have the effective social distancing there. And then the last thing was about staffing. I now know that there are allowances for additional staff, custodial hours, paraprofessionals, social workers. That's wonderful. I wasn't sure if there was additional for visiting nurses, and they are definitely going to have additional duties. And then just a general question, talk about recesses, athletics, and specials, because there wasn't much about that, and those can be complicated situations to maintain distancing and clean equipment to prevent, breaking of cohort through unsanitized equipment. And then also, if you can talk about
we just lost your audio, Mike.
I've lost him.
Yeah. Mike? Yeah, we lost you.
We
The
can't hear
audio.
you at all.
oh, can you hear me here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know where you lost me, but I had a lot.
We lost you at the last thing.
Oh, it was just about isolation rooms. Just more detail about that would be good.
So what you're really asking for is a little bit more specifics in regard to the opening plan.
Yeah, particularly distance learning and then building level information.
Okay, thank you.
We hear you loud and clear, especially about the specificity at the building level. The principals reported that to us last week, and we are meeting tomorrow to start working on the whole issue of isolation rooms and remote learning. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I can't talk about exactly at this point, because we're still sort of working the details of this out, but it will be very clearly explained to parents, and your concerns are front and center to Susan and me.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me speak too.
Absolutely, Mike. So,
Justin
Barnhill, are you on at all to be able to speak, or do you want me just to read your chat? So Justin is 7 Pegasus Drive, Groton, kindergarten, a hybrid possibility, both parents working full time. Will our children have a specific time that he has to be logged in on, or can he log on when the first one of us gets home from work in early afternoon? Thank you.
We are planning a blend of what we're calling live stream, but the live stream is also going to be recorded in some way. So the answer to the question is yes, the live stream lessons and live stream class sessions would be available for the parents when they get home.
Okay, thank you. And then the last one that's on the chat is from Jen Fleming, or Cillier hyphen Fleming, from 24 Osage Lane. I would like to thank the Board of Ed and the administrations and teachers for working on plans. but her concern is about if we go to a hybrid, and there's students who go to a daycare, childcare, how are we going to handle the possible, isolation around the COVID?
Well, yeah, we know that the cohorting is not going to be perfect. That's for sure. The great advantage of cohorting really is about contact tracing. Obviously, we want to be able to spread the children out with limited number of children on a bus and in a classroom. But the other thing about cohorting is that we would know that a group of children and a teacher, and perhaps a special or two, if there is an outbreak, if there's an incidence of COVID, then we would be able to fairly quickly contact trace that. But of course, in the case of childcare, that contact tracing would have to go to that facility. So Susan and I talk about this all the time. It's a bit frustrating. We'd like to be able to provide perfect perfect cohorting, but it's just not possible. I mean, obviously the kids are not going to be cohorted on a bus, but we're doing the best we can practically to try to reduce the number of contacts a child has in a day. And we realize in childcare facilities that and there may be some youth sports activities, but we're going to do the best we can to minimize that.
And then the question is that the first day of school is moved to September 8th. Is there a new date for the kindergartners?
Excuse me. That's going to be on the agenda that we will discuss tomorrow, Kim, for next week.
Okay.
Yes, the board. I'm hoping the board will make a decision on the 17th.
Okay. Thank you. And then Katrina Fitzgerald, who is also an RTM member, asked, is there guidelines that have been given for how many kids need to get sick before school, at a school before returning to remote learning? So is there what's the threshold?
The simple answer is we're going to work with Ledgelight Health District on this. We as I said, I have a meeting tomorrow with the State Department of Health. We're sort of looking, I think all the superintendents are looking for clear indications of X number of students. I think it's a bit more complicated than that, but I will share these scenarios with parents as I get them. I think everyone's sort of looking for that, X percentage of children in the school would be closed down, or at least the cohort would be closed down. So I think that's where we are, at least at this point. And I realize with a degree of urgency that today is the 10th of August and we are going to start school in less than a month. But that's where we are, and we will, this is a daily, as everybody knows, this is a moving target that tends to change on a daily basis.
And then the last chat that I see is in regards to, this is Matt Rogers from 255 Godfrey Road, is when can we expect a final decision? That's going to be tonight. And actually, it's Dr. Grenier who actually makes the final call, but that the board will be supporting him tonight. And I think Ryan Zimmerman, you had the same question, and the information, once again, last Monday, as long as it was a incredibly informative meeting, and I really appreciate the staff who participated in that, and the staff who made this work, because I just felt like I had a lot more information. Mike, I do share your concern about that some of the things are not in detail yet, but I'm hoping that once we're moving forward with what the plan is going to be, that we are that we have that. Mark, do you have any other people who are asking to be recognized? If not, I would like to move us on so that people can. No, no, you don't?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I want to make sure that I understand sign language. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so the response for citizens, I think we were doing that back and forth. Once again, I apologize. That's not how we normally do it. But it's a little bit overwhelming when there's 100 people who are listening to a meeting. And I want to make sure that people's voices get heard. So I'm going to now move us to the superintendent's report. And Dr. Grenier, we're looking forward to meeting our new athletic director. So please.
Well, I have been waiting for a long time to introduce Vin Baracchioni. When Vin applied for the job, we were very lucky because I know he used to work in Cranston, Rhode Island, and one of my very dear friends was the superintendent in Cranston. So I called him right away, and he gave a glowing endorsement of Vin. And I'm going to let Vin explain his background. He is not only an experienced athletic administrator, he's also an experienced school administrator. But this job at Groton, it was a pun because I started to say Groton Middle School and Fitch High School. Maybe someday that will be true, but right now this is simply a job for a part-time teacher and a part-time administrator at Fitch High School. So I'll let Vin introduce himself. I mentioned to the board, we pass our condolences on. Vin lost his father about 10 days ago. And I know he's just getting back in. He was in school today. And so we welcome you, Vin, and we love just maybe a thumbnail sketch, and then maybe you could tell us a little bit about the plans for the fall.
So before you do that, just because that's just the type of person I am, I'm always interrupting. I know that board member, there's been some board members that wanted a chance to be able to chat about the people's comments. And so I kind of want to be able to give them that opportunity to do so. And then second, we do have a board member that is attempting to come on, Gretchen, but I guess the threshold is 100 people. So I keep on asking her to keep on trying, but she is trying to get on. She told me she was running late. So just wanted to let people know that we actually have a full board present with one board member trying to get on. So board members, I don't mean to kind of go back, but if there's anyone that had a comment about all the things that were being discussed, I would welcome that to happen now.
Kim?
Yes, Jay.
So I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to everyone who logged on tonight, last week, and has been with us for all these weeks. And, thank you for your feedback. You can imagine that we have received a ton of emails. We have been studying, as you have, reports from all the experts, watching what other districts are doing. We take your feedback extremely seriously, and we do appreciate it. I know that whatever decision we make tonight is not going to make everybody happy, but we really believe that the district is doing everything they can to make this return as safe for the students as possible, as well as being flexible in a really unprecedented time. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Kim?
Yes, Rita.
Besides Ledge Light, I would appreciate it if Dr. Grenier also spoke with our district physician, who is Dr. Blayfeld, for insight and input into everything from inhalers to the mask, everything. Because I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and medically, I think we need to have his input as well as Ledge Lights.
Yeah, I'm just writing it down. I got you.
Yeah, and I also want to thank everybody for all the emails we have received and how difficult this decision is. And there's one more quick comment. I saw a board meeting today on television that they showed where they met very social in person, the Board of Education in another state. And now they had to stop that because someone had was tested positive for COVID. So even if you take all the precautions, sometimes they can't continue. So just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Rita. Any other board member that would like to make a comment to citizens? All right, hearing none. Vincent, I can't even promise you that I'm gonna not do that ever again, because I probably will. But I would like to say welcome and please, and please start.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very happy to be here this evening and finally get a chance to see the faces and match them with the names a little bit anyway. Dr. Grenier, thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly. I'll spare you my entire resume, but as Dr. Grenier said, I've got a total of 33 years in education, about half of which has been in administration. The last year or so, I've been kind of looking towards getting back into athletic administration. That being said, it wouldn't be just anywhere. And I looked into, when I saw the ad for Fitch High School, I looked into it, and you'll be happy to know that Fitch has a great reputation outside of Groton and with a lot of people. So, you know, the long and short of it is, I'm thrilled to have this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to working with the student athletes at Fitch High School. If you don't mind, I'll just go into a little bit about the, I know there's a lot of anxiety regarding the return to sports, and I'll just touch on some of the things that are going on with the CIAC, which is our school governing body, and also the Eastern Connecticut Conference, which is our local conference. The CIAC has put out some recommendations. Among them are, we're going to be in what they call a bubble as far as athletics, if and when we go forward with athletics. There will be gathering limitations, small cohorts. We'll be working with coaches, no more than 15 kids in an area. There will be a facility cleaning schedule, which will be developed and adhered to. Every student athlete will have to self-screen before every practice and/or game and report to the coach. And that is not something that we're just, hey, how you feeling today? It's documented, and the coaches are in charge of that documentation. There are rules regarding face coverings as far as coaches, just as it would be in school. There are rules regarding face coverings with student athletes. Obviously, they can't wear them in every situation, but there are times at practices when they should be worn. There will be no sharing of food. Obvious barriers such as every student will have to bring their own water. There'll be no like sharing of water bottles or any of those water troughs that have been used in the past. As far as other recommendations, our conference is putting forth reduced schedules, which are more regionalized. I don't know if any of you have been privy to those yet. The coaches have seen those as of last week. So we're going to keep the distance traveled very close. There'll be a limited number of athletes per trip. So in other words, I know football offhand right now is 40. So where before they may have taken 60 kids to an away game, it's going to be 40 or less, depending on the sport. The spectator, whether or not spectators are allowed is still being discussed, and that's something that we're voting on. We do have an ECC board meeting tomorrow morning, a Zoom meeting just like this, where we're going to be discussing some of these issues. And of course, contact tracing will be a part of the plan. I was fortunate enough to meet with most of the fall coaches this morning, and I did go over with every coach all of these protocols that I've just mentioned. I think I pretty much gave you a general idea about what the plan is, but if anybody has anything more specific. I see.
Hi, Vin. It's Liz Porter. Vin, I just had a question about the schedule, because the last schedule I saw from the CIAC stated that, you know, we're going to start by full football by the end of the month, by the end of September, you know, with just a couple of cohort practices and then full in by September 11th. Has that timeline changed?
Yes, I believe it has, since whatever document you're referring to. Football is starting 1 week from today, but that is only to issue equipment and helmets. There'll be 3 days of what they call, oh, what's the term? Where there's just discussion and there's no contact, there's no actual.
Skill development.
Thank you. In that, well, in every other sport, we'll be starting August 27th. The date for any competitions, as far as live games with other schools, has been pushed back to September 24th. That is the earliest that there would possibly be a competition. And again, every team has a reduced schedule now. So where there may have been 20 games before, there is 12 now. So that's part of it. You're welcome.
The only people that should have their microphones unmuted should be the board members.
And also, I'm sorry, Kim. I meant to be muted there. I apologize.
Okay. I just, that this is not, we're done with our sort of public portion of our meeting. And so if someone wants to be recognized, all I ask is that a board member would recognize. The board member needs to remember that their participation in this round of conversation, you have moved to someone else. So Rita?
Yes, I'd like to recognize Mr. Small, please. I believe I share his views, so I'd love to hear from him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm concerned, when we say cohorts, and I put it in my letter, that students are parts of multiple cohorts, classroom cohorts, maybe religious cohorts. There's no sense in developing cohorts if kids are just out there in all kinds of cohorts. Also, NBC 30 has reported that the CIAC is postponing football until the spring. Is that correct?
I just learned that. I learned that about 5 seconds ago. I don't know if it's correct, but that's what the NBC was reporting.
Dr. Grenier, could I speak to that for a sec?
Sure.
First of all, I'd just like to thank Steve. He did share some of his concerns with me as well. And there's information there that, in terms of what's been shared, that I have some concerns with as well. And I've been talking with some of the ECC principals about that. The first thing I just want to be clear upon is that this seems to be kind of an ever-changing situation with the CIAC. As Steve just said, I did see this report about this regarding football, but nothing has been made public regarding that yet by the CIAC. So we haven't gotten an official statement from the CIAC. So while it certainly is interesting and that could happen, I think that we'll see what the actual official statement does come out with that. But Mr. Small did share with me the concern that, okay, we're cohorting in school, and then after school, all the kids are going to be coming together and practicing together. And I think that seems to be the kind of biggest concern throughout the ECC. So, this is the plan now, and the plan has changed already a few times. Now that a lot of school systems have been deciding how they are going to be going back into school, I'm interested to see what the CIAC's reaction is going to be to that. The ECC has already looked at, Vin, correct me if I'm wrong here, a 6-game football schedule, I believe it is.
That's correct.
And then limiting other games to 12. There has been support with that with the ECC principals, again, with the caveat that they're still nervous about the fact that the cohorts kind of get destroyed out in the athletic field. So I think that's I'm very interested to see in the next week or so as more and more schools decide if they're going back full distance learning, going back with a hybrid model, or going back full time, how that will modify with the CIAC's proposal. And that, so I think that while this is the proposal that we have now, and right now our students are just conditioning in cohorts, it's the cohorts don't change. I think that, Vin, what's the number they're at right now? Is it 15 kids total? So that's where we are right now. I think that the coaches are doing a great job from what I've seen in making sure that the kids are distancing. I think that it's, it's like our plan now. We need to be flexible with it. We need to be patient with it and see where this kind of lands going forward. Because, like I said, I think Steve made the point perfectly. Tomorrow we may get a report that football's going to be a question mark for the fall. So, but I don't know that for sure yet. So, thank you very much.
Dr. Grenier.
I just checked the CIAC website. It's actually the football committee voted nearly unanimously to move football to the spring, and that will go to the CIAC Board of Directors. So the CIAC has not acted, it's just the football committee.
Kim, can we just finish listening to Mr. Small?
Yes.
Just in case he has something else he'd like to say?
Absolutely. Thank you, Rita.
I really don't have anything other concerns. My main concerns are with the cohorts and with students. They're also, just riding around town, even during quarantine, you could see students with each other. So there's multiple contacts, and to try to trace all these contacts would be incredible. And I think just the simultaneous restarting of athletics could jeopardize our reopening plans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else from the board that would like to ask questions about? So Vincent, is there a really good chance? I'm sorry, I don't even finish. Not only do I interrupt people, but I actually don't finish my sentences very well. But do you think that there's a really good chance that ECC would actually move the fall season at all? Do you think that might be a possibility in tomorrow's meeting?
Well, I'm not sure, Kim, but I know there are some sports that are higher risk than others. So whether or not they consider moving some sports, Steve mentioned football to the spring. Football is considered higher risk than, say, swimming or cross country. So maybe they're looking at it that way. Again, we won't know any of this till the meeting. One thing I did not say, which I should have said at the beginning, was we will not compromise the safety of anybody involved in this situation. I know ultimately, as you said earlier, that the decision is up to Dr. Grenier with unanimous support from the school board. But again, we would not compromise a student athlete, a coach, or a game staff member. We're going to take all the safety precautions if we do reopen sports.
Thank you. Are there other board members that are interested in talking? Jay, do you have anything that you need to ask?
No, thank you.
Okay. Andrea? Gretchen? Rosemary? I'm sorry, and I think Jane, you're here, but I know that you're not feeling really well. Lee, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Thank you, friend. All right. Hearing none, Dr. Grenier?
I just wanted to let everyone know that the CIC director, Glenn Longerini, is meeting with the local superintendents at Learn on Thursday. So I may have an update then, which I could put in board notes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And obviously, if it's a huge change, we would be putting that on the website. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Dr. Grenier, could you move us towards the focus groups, please?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Vin. Appreciate it. So I reported this in board notes, and but for the sake of the public, I certainly want to reiterate. Each of the schools had at least one focus group. A few of the schools had two focus groups. They all involve parents. In some cases, they involve students and staff members. The big takeaway for me was that the overwhelming majority of parents thought that the hybrid model was the most practical way to return to school. In some cases, we had focus groups where none of the parents were interested in going back full in person. I think they were aware that we have a lot of kids riding on buses. We have a lot of children in classrooms. We also, Beth Horler was very helpful. She polled teachers, and 321 teachers responded. And 89% of those teachers said they would prefer to go back in a hybrid model. And Heidi Hallisey, who is the head of our paraprofessional union, she polled the paras, and 146 paras responded, and 86% of them thought the hybrid model was the best way to go. We got a lot of feedback. The hybrid model was not really questioned. I mean, that was pretty obvious. But parents, as Mr. Whitney said, they want greater clarity, and that is certainly understandable. And we will continue to work with the health officials, and Susan and I are working to make sure that the remote learning remote learning plans and the hybrid learning plans. And as somebody said, the hybrid plan is really 60% remote for everybody anyway. So we, as Susan and I kind of ground ourselves in this work, we really see that it's essentially remote learning, but some of the kids come in 2 days a week and other kids come in 2 other days a week, but the teacher has to teach all the kids all the time. And so I think we're starting to conceptualize of a remote learning platform or remote learning program that would engage the children, but both those in person and at home. We talked about, the parents gave us lots of feedback, which we have been really trying to actualize, on the importance of live streamed lessons, or live stream class meetings, or at least the taping of live stream, so children would have an opportunity to interact with their teacher and some of their classmates. We wanted, another big point was parents wanted to be able to have the option to change their choice. So if parents choose to be hybrid and things from their perspective don't go as well as they would like, they could go to remote, and of course they will have that option. Or my hope is the children who start through hybrid, if things get better, we hope that children would come back and participate in that program, and perhaps as the year goes by, we would be able to consider a full in person. But the point is, the parents will always have the option to go back and forth. There would be a reasonable period, and we'd have to accommodate. We couldn't do this in 24 hours, but we certainly could do it within a week, because we'd have to arrange for transportation and so forth. We talked about childcare, and I can tell you, I think I mentioned this to the board members. I got a letter from the local YMCA. They are interested in helping us. And then I had a nice note from one of our RTM members who indicated a lot of the colleges are now remote, and we may have college students who would be able to support perhaps a park and rec program, perhaps a YMCA program, perhaps a faith-based program. I think the childcare is obviously a huge issue. And we need to, as a community, we need to get all these resources lined up. I'll give I've actually been working with the Treehouse staff. I'll give a fuller report. We certainly will have Treehouse. We're planning to have Treehouse after school, before school, and after school care on those days when children go to school. So children on Mondays and Tuesdays with the hybrid model, and Thursdays and Fridays. We're actually considering the possibility of having all of those children, it'd be about 150, come in on a Wednesday. We don't, if we opened up the Treehouse program to additional parents, which would be wonderful, we could very easily have the have the issue of dealing with 500 or 600 children, which I know Steve Small would know. There goes your cohort. So we have to be balanced. You know, we're trying to talk about complex. As somebody said, we're trying to build the plane while we're flying it, and it's difficult. But I can give an update on that. And then the focus groups, as Mike Whitney said, and a few other parents, they're really interested in the health and safety protocols, and they need to know those protocols before they make a decision as to how to start. But as I said, I think the most important thing for parents is to know that whatever decision they make, they will have the option to change from hybrid to remote or from remote to hybrid. And that's pretty much where we are. But I will also say this, I'm gonna talk to the principals because I asked them to set up focus groups, and I didn't mean it to be a one-time thing. I actually want to go back to these focus groups. Shannon Weigel was very helpful in developing questions for the focus group. So I think next round of focus groups would be in a week or so, and bring these folks together via Zoom. Actually, these Zoom meetings have a certain efficiency to them that we can take advantage of. So we're going to keep going. You know, as I said, it's the 10th of August. School starts on the 8th of September. I'm hoping to have at least 2 additional focus groups, and we will tap into students and tap into staff, and of course, really get feedback from parents. I think this will be an ongoing situation.
Susan.
I just wanted to add, at our meetings, we've been getting questions in the chat box, and we have been collecting those as a frequently asked question. Also in the focus groups, we've had that. So we're looking forward to putting out kind of a district response to some of these frequently asked questions. Some are more specific to the schools. So, you know, we'll be able to answer them district-wide, but then there might be even more specificity coming from the schools. But just to let parents know that there will be that coming forth, hopefully by the middle of this week.
Any questions from board members?
Yes, Kim?
Yes, Gretchen.
I actually kind of, my list got longer as we went. Yes, Mr. Small's issue of cohorts, Dr. Grenier. If we try then stick 500 to 600 children together.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Cohorts. But also, where would we put 500 to 600 children?
That's why we're not doing it.
And okay, so there's also, how do we pay for this?
Well, the treehouse program is self-sustaining. So the before school and after school childcare, the parents pay for that.
Okay. Seems a little hectic.
It does. Rita? Rita, you are not muted.
Sorry.
Sorry.
About, yeah, my questions for Dr. Grenier. About, I think you told us that maybe 40% of parents said that their children would not be sent on the buses, that they would be bringing them to school.
Yes.
That seems like a great deal of traffic for the schools to deal with. And how is that going to be addressed? I mean, that's a lot of cars driving up. I'm worried about social distancing of the kids, like getting out of their car and running in. And I wasn't sure if there could be some type of flexibility in bus arrivals and maybe parents who are dropping off children maybe 15 minutes later, or like having something done so that everything isn't all happening at one time.
Yeah, we'll talk to the principals about staggering that. That's a clear need.
It seems that when we find one thing, like it leads to like there's 5 more questions, 5 more things that are
Yes.
That's pulling that down. Susan?
I think once the decision is finalized tonight, that will really give us our marching orders, and the principals will really be able to start putting plans together. They've already begun, but they've been doing it in 3 different ways. So I think we also want to survey our parents yet again to say, here's the hybrid plan. Do you wish to go that way, or do you wish to have remote learning? And how do you wish to transport your children, so that we'll get more definite response, at least for now. So I think, you might see that people feel a little more comfortable if kids are sitting every other seat on the bus because it's only half capacity versus, having a full bus load or a full classroom. So that's kind of our hope. Mike, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the confidence we have in the hybrid plan is initially a third of the parents said they would not be sending their children to school. I'm actually hoping that when they see that we can do this hybrid model safely, that more and more students will actually come to school for the 2 days, because we can through our protocols and our other procedures, that we can let people feel comfortable that the cohorts are safe, or as safe as possible. I don't think anyone wants to say anything ultimate in this pandemic about the.
Before I recognize you, just want to make sure that there's not other board members that have anything. I'm not hearing anything, so Rita, please.
I read that even though the districts that are going remote, full remote, teachers are still reporting to their classrooms. And I was curious on Wednesdays if our staff would be in the buildings or not in the buildings. I know they'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but it seems that even with remote learning, the teachers are being asked to go to the building. So I was just curious about that.
We're not thinking that. We're thinking that the buildings would basically be empty,
okay,
and give teachers the opportunity. Again, I don't want to violate any confidentialities, but we're working out the exact relationship of where teachers will be. But that seems to be pretty clear. And Sam was hoping that the buildings would be relatively empty. I'm sure the administrators will be there because they're expendable. No, the administrators will be there to facilitate programming, but teachers would typically be home doing their planning, remote lessons, whatever they're doing.
Well, and the whole premise of that, Rita, was to have Wednesday as the deep cleaning day. So you're in between the 2 cohorts. So it's really necessary that we do our best to make sure that we've done this deep cleaning. And I think that's what we were thinking in this hybrid model as an extra safety valve.
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Rosemary.
I'm curious because I have time to think now. And if everyone showed up, because it sounds like somewhat dependent upon some people not opting to do the hybrid. So if everybody does opt to do the hybrid, are we able to handle that and still do this 6 feet distancing within our classrooms and everywhere else?
Yes.
Well,
okay.
I would want to say with half the kids in the class, we would maximize the social distancing. I think in most cases it would be 6 feet, but I've been advised against going around with a ruler to figure this out. But yes, we would maximize social distancing.
Darn that math stuff.
Yeah.
Now, see, I would like the ruler problem. That would work for me.
Well, I can tell you.
You should have been a nun.
I can tell you that.
Oh, no, not that way, ever.
The music classes are talking about using the cafeteria for the band class, using the auditorium, if not outside, for choral classes. So we're going to spread people out even farther than 6 feet if we can.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So the teachers themselves, the kids will be coming in 2 days, then a cleaning day, then 2 days, but the teacher needs to have worked for the group kids on Monday, Tuesday, the A group kids on Thursday, Friday, and the distance kids every day. I'm having trouble seeing how the teachers are going to keep up. I mean, they're amazing, they're wonderful, they're fabulous. But Beth, do you have a better picture on how that is going to fall out for you?
I was going to explain that what we're doing, actually in conversations that we've had over the last several days, is since all the children, every child will be at least 60% remote, right? Wednesday and Monday and Tuesday, or Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And then there'll be some other children who will be remote 100% of the time. So the way I've conceived of the teaching is that I have a remote class and I'm putting lessons out Monday and Tuesday, and children happen to be there when I'm doing this. And I'm doing some classwork on Wednesdays, but probably the bulk of it is going to be recording and lesson planning and so forth. Then on Thursday and Friday, I'm going to continue with my remote learning lessons, but there will be children there who will see me live doing these things, and we would have class meetings and so forth. So for me, the foundation of this is really, it's a remote learning program with the advantage of half of the kids, or however many kids, come in on Monday and Tuesday, and other kids come in on Thursday and Friday. But basically, it really is, it is remote learning plus.
And I think it goes back, Dr. Grenier, to what you said originally. It's the blend of synchronous and asynchronous education. And we know that parents who are doing it on the remote end with their children might not be available to Zoom in for every period. But if we can also have those recorded or have them pre-recorded, those lessons will be posted. I think, Gretchen, because you're part of the curriculum Board of Ed committee, we showcase some of those lessons. So the teachers have done 6 to 8 weeks worth of work already, like getting ready for this. So they've laid out for all, all 5 components each week and how those would be distributed. And so that kind of work ahead of time and now sharing it and having some professional development when we come back to school is going to be essential. So it's a really good question. It's different than what we're used to. We're used to, you teach something, they do something. And sometimes they're going to do something and then we teach something. So it's just a little bit different, but every kid will get the same universal curriculum and lesson plan, which I think is really based on the equity design. So I'm excited about that. And the work that our teachers have done is incredible.
Kim, if I could just add, we could add a couple of questions. We intend after Friday night and through the weekend, there will be deep cleaning, and just by with surfaces, we will be disinfecting the areas Friday night. So we'll make sure that they are. Rebecca Giulini wanted to know that they will be deep cleaned and ready for the children to enter on Monday morning.
Yeah, that will be a good frequently asked question, because I'm sure many of us are kind of wondering about that.
Yeah.
So if there are no other questions from the board, Dr. Grenier and Susan, my question that I have for the two of you is that, do you support the district going to a hybrid model for the start of the school year?
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. I feel it's the safest way. Mike and I have agreed about this. all the way along. Of course, we've questioned and we've read a lot and researched, and we feel like to start us out, it's really the safest way. And hopefully, you know, my glass is always half full, but hopefully with good news, we'll be able to bring all of our kids back.
And I would add that I would want to reassess and come back to the board in about a month later, mid-October, and give a full report. Although we will certainly be doing that as we go through the month of September. But I think the vote might be for a formal reassessment in mid-October. My recommendation would be unequivocally to go to a hybrid model with a reassessment of the plan in mid-October.
So if there's no other questions about the focus groups, I'm actually going to propose a motion for the board. And the motion would be to approve the hybrid model. I don't know how you want to call it. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah,
That's what we're
that's
calling
it.
Okay, the hybrid model to then with a formal assessment in mid-October. How is that too not wordy enough?
I think it's a hybrid model for the reopening of schools, and then with a chance to review it in mid-October for the start of the school year.
Rita, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just feel that we should, for our motion, it be to approve the district's hybrid reopening plan.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh,
and
thank you for making that so simple. Thank you.
I think Liz has a.
Sometimes. Liz, are you seconding it or are you coming?
No, I have a statement too. I do believe though that we need to reassess the plan, not mid-October. I think you need to have a hybrid. You need to put in the motion, in my opinion, that if this is the way that it's being, that's the motion's going to be, it should also have a date there or time frame to reassess. And I personally think mid-October is way too late.
Right.
I just think we need to have it.
I'm a little bit worried about putting a specific date. I hear you about mid-October. I'm worried about doing a specific date in that. Look how much changes within a moment to moment.
Right.
So maybe the motion should be that we to approve the hybrid as the oh, Rita, you said it much better than
reopening.
Reopening through a hybrid model with ongoing assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Ongoing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I would say, that it's something that we can brief the board on at the COWs coming up, and just to keep you apprised on how it's working out.
So here's what I have, Kim. To approve the district's hybrid model for reopening schools with ongoing assessment of the plan.
That sounds exactly like I didn't say, but that's exactly what we should be saying. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second. Lee, second.
I still feel that's too wordy.
Oh, please.
Yeah, no, seriously, to put an ongoing assessment, that would mean every week we could be reassessing it.
But we probably should be. In that.
Well, we should be, but I mean, should that be in the motion? I don't know. I think motions are.
I do think
Ongoing
this.
sounds good to me.
I do think this. I think there are a number of parents who are concerned, and they want to be sure that we're doing this right. And I can say this. I think you will find throughout Connecticut, certainly throughout southeastern Connecticut, it's almost unanimous that boards are doing exactly that. They're going to reopen, and they're going to reassess in the beginning of October.
I mean, we certainly would brief the board, but I think ultimately we're thinking that it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for this hybrid plan to be established and to be safely rolled out.
All right. So Are you proposing an amendment, Rita?
No.
Is there any discussion on the motion that's on the floor that was seconded by Lee? Hearing none. I'm going to take the task of all those in favor of the motion of Dr. Grenier. You've got it written. Can you please read it one more time?
To approve the district's hybrid model for reopening with ongoing assessment of the plan.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion that's on the floor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
I have 1, 2, 3. Ms. Joan, are you taking note?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes, I'm trying.
Okay, thank you. All those against?
Aye.
Aye.
I have Jane and Liz are against. Abstain? Motion has carried.
Kim,
Yep.
Kim, my battery is going low, so I'm
was
gonna
mine.
have to catch you the next day. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Bye.
All right, so that item is over. We are now just going to be going over the second readings of policies that needed to kind of be done, but we didn't do it in our last regular meeting, so we're just trying to do some cleaning up. Susan, and we just lost Lee, who is the chairperson of the policy.
What else is new?
Yeah, what else is new? All right, Sue, would you be able to speak to these?
Yes, and Ken Chu was very helpful. These were policies that he really needed based on some work from the last assessment in accounting. So we needed federal grants and awards administration, and we didn't have a grant. This is grant number 3290, and this should be a second on this grant. And Ken can answer any questions that you have if they're specific to this grant.
Okay, so Liz, would you be willing to read the motion for number 1 underneath new business or old business?
Certainly.
Thank you, friend.
To approve as a second reading policy P 3230.1 federal grant procurement and regulations for policy P 3230.1.
I have a second to that, please.
Second.
Is that Jane?
Yes.
Okay, hi Jane, good to see you or hear your voice.
Good to be seen.
All right, so now Sue and Ken.
So the next one is on a business and non-instructional operation, soliciting prices, bidding requirements. And this one was not too long ago written, but there were some changes. And I don't know, Ken, if you want to speak to it, but you can see the red line was changes that were made and taken out. And then we had additional wording that was added to it. So Ken, did you want to speak to that one?
Yeah, so are we, which one are we on? I'm sorry, are we still on the
number 2?
This is P3323.
Bidding.
Point of order.
But point of order.
We only had the motion was to read it and have it second for the first motion on policy P3230.1 about the federal grant procurement regulations. We did not have discussion and we have not voted on it.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
We're on the first one.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about this one just briefly?
You got to.
Okay.
So,
we have.
Ken, you need to talk about the motion that's on the floor. Liz is correct with her point of order that it's the policy P 3230.1.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm very distracted by the sounds of everyone leaving the meeting. And so I'm having a hard time concentrating. Liz, thank you for catching.
So this policy is a requirement of receiving federal grants. We were cited on our last audit that we did not have this policy. This was it was a new requirement as of, I think it was as of the 2019 year. So that's the reason that we're putting this forward. This is this follows the CABE suggestion for this policy. And this would cover that requirement by the auditors for the FY20 year.
Do I have any questions about this? This is our second reading. It's been a while, but it's been our second reading of this.
I just have some consistency of language, and I'll bring that to the office tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of to approve as a second reading the policy P3230.1 federal grant procurement and regulations for policy P3230.1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. Jay, would you be willing to read the motion for number 2? Thank you.
To approve as a second reading policy P3323 bidding and regulations for policy P3323.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Sorry, Rosemary, I saw Liz first. Discussion, please.
Want me to talk a little bit about this one? So
Yep.
this was a previous policy. We made some adjustments, and I'll tell you what they were concerning. One of the things that we ran into, this required, the previous policy required written bids to be submitted, and when we were going through the bid list items, which is it's a long list of items that we request prices on, we would have to take that, get that in written form, and then we would have to transfer it into electronic form to get it into our system. And so the request, part of the change here is to allow for electronic submission of bids. Rarely it just would be used during the bid list process, just because it's such a long list of items. So that's one change that we had requested. Then we also put in a section here, number 4, that refers back to that federal funds policy that we just approved. And then we just cleaned up on the bottom when bids are not required. We put the pre-approved state contracts down there as opposed to before it was up in the body of the policy. Those were the 3 main changes that we were attempting to make on this.
While we did that, we also adjusted the regulations that went with it too.
Yes, that's right.
Any other discussion on this? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion that's on the floor to approve as a second reading policy P3323 bidding and regulations for policy P3323, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Object? Never can remember those 3 words. All right.
I'll send you a sticky note to put on your screen.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put it right here. All right. Rita, would you be willing to read the last motion, please?
Yes, to approve as a second reading policy P4118.7, Good Samaritan.
Can I have a second to that, please?
Second.
I got Rosemary. Discussion, please, Susan.
So this Good Samaritan was already a policy that we had 4118.7, but because we adjusted and created the administration of administering medication, which was 5141.21, there was a section in there that allowed the school nurse to be able to give medication by injection, such as Narcan. In the Good Samaritan, it talks about the Good Samaritan Act as also being able to have teachers or other school personnel who have completed both a course in first aid as described above and a course given by the medical advisor of the school or licensed physician or by the school nurse in the administration of oral, and they just changed it from medication by injection to oral, topical, intranasal, inhalant, or cartridge injection. And so they listed it with more specificity. So that the Good Samaritan, within the Good Samaritan Act, they could also do the cartridge injection medication.
Any other conversations or discussion?
So this is really just bringing it up to date, is what you're saying?
Yes.
It's just adjusting the language.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also connecting it to that new policy. We try to do that in all our policies. If one piggybacks on another or is related to another, we try to include them in both policies.
Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of approving the motion that's on the floor as a second reading, policy P448.7, Good Samaritan, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Object? Abstain? The motion has carried. We are now down to the future agenda items. Jay, I'm actually wondering if this is the time that we can kind of have a more a conversation about having a statement that comes from the board about the diversity and inclusion and how the board kind of holds those. And I was thinking that it sounded to me that maybe a small group of board members can kind of get together as a, I don't know if it's ad hoc, I don't know what the other word is, to kind of think about how we want to do that, whether we want to add it to our mission statement or whatever. But Jay, I know that this was something that you were thinking a lot about, and so I kind of wanted to get your viewpoint on that.
Well, yes, as we discussed last week, I think it's important to acknowledge, a statement from the board, a strong statement, and I'd like to see, as I discussed with you, as you sort of mentioned, maybe the board could consider incorporating it into our mission statement, because that's read at the beginning of every meeting, and just sort of remind us of how important it is to be committed to an anti-racist district, and know that that is something that that we're working toward, and by adding it to the mission statement, it's something we read at each meeting and reminds us, and also sends a strong message. But obviously, we need to work together on this, and maybe with members of DEI to find the right way to set that broad policy and put ourselves on record.
And I just am wondering if it makes sense for a smaller group of board members to kind of start the process, to then bring it to the board, to have the board have much fuller conversation, but to kind of start off at the beginning, kind of getting that information. I just, that feels a little bit more smoother to do it that way, just in terms of work. But I didn't know how people would feel about that. Andrea?
I'm very interested in this in particular, because I was adamant about our keeping our mission statement short, succinct, and to the point. And as I was in my group in the diversity,
equity and inclusion.
Thank you. I listened very carefully to what was said, and at that time I even said that I would like to bring it back to the board and look at our mission statement. So I am very interested in being part of that group.
I am too.
So that actually almost sounds like it's an ad hoc that kind of looks at our mission statement with adding in an equity statement to it. Does that sound like that's fair?
I think so.
Okay. So Andrea, Liz are two people that are interested. Is there anyone else that's interested in participating in that? All right. So
I want to make it. Kim, I want to make it clear that I still want to keep it succinct, very short to the point.
Absolutely.
All right.
Kim, maybe it could also be a board goal. If the mission statement is still very short and succinct, teaching and learning, but it could also be a goal of the board.
Right. I just think that this is usually something that we do in a retreat. I don't see a retreat
Yes.
happening anytime soon. And so I just think it's so important that, and Jay, I really appreciate your pushing on this, is that I think it's so important that that this gets talked about and that it gets shown. And so I think that if we could at least get the ball rolling and having a few members kind of look at the statement and see how we can make it more robust and have it really reflect the feelings or our stance. I think that would be very important. So I currently have Jay, Andrea, Liz, and Gretchen, and I think that that's going to be enough people to kind of move this forward. All right.
I'd also like to say if we could get some input from the DEI group, because they are all working and they might have some suggestions too.
I think that that's the mission of this ad hoc, is that is to look at our mission statement, making it much more inclusive, and that to kind of get some wording that makes sense from the diversity, because I think that there's some really phenomenal statements that have been coming out of that larger group, and so I would love to see if that could be added, and then the full board can kind of take a look at it. My second agenda item.
And Kim, if you,
oh no, Rita.
I just wanted to say, if you had any more than 4 board, if you have any more than 4 board members, it would be considered a meeting. So
okay. That's why it's 4. Thank you, Rita. I didn't say it, but that's what I was thinking. But thank you very much. Your leadership is always appreciated.
Right.
My second thing is, Andrea, this goes to you. You have requested from the board members to fill out the template for the evaluation. And I just would like to have 1 or 2 other people that kind of met with you to kind of consolidate that. Is there anyone who's interested in doing that with Andrea? I've got Liz.
Jay, get it. Jay, raise your hand.
Okay. So I have Jay, Liz, and Andrea. And your task with just compiling the information that you get from the board members and then coming back to the board. Okay?
Yep.
And it needs to be done sooner than later, just because everything needs to be done sooner than later.
You mean yesterday?
Yeah. Are there other agenda topics that people wanted to bring up? Rita. And then I'll give you Rita.
I would like to make sure we have the plan for fall athletics and parent focus groups back on our agenda.
It already is. Like, we're already working on that agenda and it's already there.
Gretchen had her hand up.
Oh yeah, Gretchen, you moved on my screen. I couldn't find you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to move. So there are 2 things that I would kind of like to know about in the near future. I want to hear from the teachers how they're feeling the hybrid / distance / whatever else we're doing, how they feel it's going for them and how they feel it's going for the students, if everybody's rolling along equally. So I'd really like to know from the teachers how they're feeling. I want honest feelings, that they will be welcome to speak, and I would like to hear how they feel. And as far as feeding students who are on our lunch plans, do we have a plan for how to get meals rolled out to the children who are not in school on that day?
You know, I saw that in the chat section, and I think it's worthy of getting that information out. I don't actually necessarily think that it's an agenda item. I think that it actually just needs to be put into a frequently asked questions, because that is a really important question, because that was one of the things that we tried to do, and I think we did pretty well at making sure that our families got that meal. So Gretchen, really good things, and so that's why I'm not going to put it on the agenda, because I think it's such an occurrent, frequently asked question. And Gretchen, to your point, is because you were trying really hard to come on while we were having some of these discussions, but there was just 99 other people in front of you.
It is broken, so we're all good.
But I do know that we had a focus group conversation, or we had information from the focus group from teachers, and I'm hoping, Dr. Grenier, that we continue to have some more feedback from admin and from teachers. So to add that to that list that Rita has already said about parent focus group, the other focus group from people, staff members, I think that would be really helpful. But Gretchen, did you have any other agenda topics?
Oh, but I thought those two were pretty big, so I'm good with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you just review how many teachers responded to the like the focus question, the focus groups? I was just wondering what the percentage of teachers that responded, because if it's less than 50%, that's not a very good percentage.
I think it was 321, so it's about approximately 75% of the teachers responded.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How many teachers? I'm sorry. I thought we had more teachers. I thought we had a lot more teachers.
We have
than that.
about 425, Beth.
Oh,
It was 321 out of 425 teachers.
Beth,
thank you.
I need to say thank you for your leadership in all of this, so that we could get that many respondents back.
That's incredible.
Really, really thank you for your teamwork with us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Andrea.
Yeah, I wanted to add to, I don't know if it's a referral, but at any rate, I wanted to add, I'd like to have sometime, maybe in October, to put on the agenda for a COW, to have the teachers come in, a select number of teachers come in and talk about the challenges and solutions that they're facing with, and coming to solutions that they're coming up with for distance learning. We talked about that today at the curriculum council, or no, the curriculum committee meeting, and I think that's it.
We need honest feedback.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got a note today from Betty Sternberg, and she was a former commissioner who was running the teacher leadership program, and we had about 35, 40 teachers participate. We chose not to participate this year, but Betty was suggesting that this might be a role for these teacher leaders, and that could be a group that would come in and provide that sort of feedback, which might be helpful.
That's an interesting idea. Anything else, folks?
Is it time?
Look at Andrea. Is it time?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a second, please? Gretchen? All those in favor of adjourning the movie, oh my God.
The movie.
The meeting, please say aye.
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 Aye. Abstain. The meeting has been canceled. You guys, everyone, so much hard work.
Stay well.
Closed, not canceled, darling. Closed.
Closed.
Ended, not canceled. Goodbye, all.
Bye.
Kim, go get a cup of tea.
Stay well.
Bye.
Bye.
Wednesday, 7:30. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good night, Sam.
See ya.